be seated when you get to your seats. All right, please be seated. The jury is present. Members of the jury, thank you for your patience. We had to resolve an issue this morning. Please don't speculate on that, and it's no one's fault as to why there was a delay getting started this morning. If you'll recall, on Friday afternoon, we started testimony from the case agent who's seated at the prosecutor's table. And we're going to take another witness out of order now, so we'll resume him at a later time. But at this time, the state's going to take a witness out of order. Go ahead and call your next witness.
Thank you. The state will call Daniel Moss.
All right, so you're going to come stand right here in front of my clerk, and she's going to swear you in.
Hello. Can you please state and spell your first and last name? Daniel Moss. Raise your right hand, please. You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Walk around the court reporter up the ramp.
All right, right up here.
And if you can scoot in close to the mic. Thank you. Would you please introduce yourself to the jury?
My name's Dan Moss. I own a window tinting shop in Idaho, Rexburg, Idaho.
How long have you owned a window tinting shop there in Rexburg, Idaho?
Since 2008.
And is it just you working there, or do you have others working for you?
We have other employees.
Okay. Do you have a website for your company?
Yes.
And how do you get business? Do people come in? Can they call you to get a quote? What happens when someone is interested in getting their car tinted?
They can stop by and get a quote. They can email us through the website. There's a phone number on the website. They can call, text. Pretty much, we make it as easy as possible.
Okay. If someone calls, who answers? Is there like an office phone or?
There's a shop phone, so it could be me or one of the other employees.
Okay. And if someone calls in and requests a window tint job, how do you set up sometimes to tell them when an appointment might be available?
If somebody calls in, we just pull out a calendar right then and just give them some dates and times that they can come by. If that doesn't work for them, usually they can drop off the car before hours or after hours.
Okay. Do you ever send them like a text saying, we have an appointment available at this time? Would that work for you?
Every day.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about window tint in general. Are there different levels or percentages of tinting that are put on?
Yeah, there's it's called the VLT percentage, visual light transmittance. So what your eye can see, not infrared or ultraviolet, but the visual light that comes through the glass is represented by a number, and the window film manufacturers assign that number to how dark the film is.
Okay.
So 5% window film only lets in 5% of the visible light. 70% lets in 70% of the light, essentially looks clear, where 5% is black, really dark.
So if someone puts 5% VLT onto a vehicle, are you able to see into that car?
No.
What about 20%? What is that?
You can see like a silhouette of somebody that's in there.
Okay. And can people do different percentages like front or rear windows?
Yep.
Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about some business that you did with back on September 23rd and 25th of 2019. I've shown the defendant Exhibit 183. If I can have my paralegal approach with that. If you take a look at that, does that contain an affidavit that you signed authenticating some different screenshots from the business phone as well as screenshots from your camera system in your business?
Yes, it does.
And do those relate to a phone call that was received on September 23rd at 1:54 p.m. from a 480-351-9120 number?
Yes.
And then sort of the business of tinting relating to that initial call.
Yes.
The state will move to admit Exhibit 183. I believe that's what I said.
183 is a packet.
Yes.
Relevant, Your Honor.
All right. The exhibit is admitted. You said 81?
183.
I'm sorry, I wasn't even close. 183.
All right, and if I could have the Elmo. Thank you. All right. I'll start with sort of what is described in this as, let me zoom out. Were you contacted at some point by law enforcement and asked about an individual with that 480-320 number contacting your business to have window tint put on a Jeep?
Yes.
And did you, in fact, end up scheduling an appointment and, in fact, putting tint on a Jeep?
Yes.
So did you provide law enforcement, starting with this first page of 183's attachments, a screenshot of your phone showing when you received that first call from the 480-20 number?
Yeah.
And so this was September 23rd of 2019?
Yes.
And then that was at the 1:54 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay. Now, it's a couple days later, did you or your business reach back to that 480-351, advise them that you had an appointment available?
Yes.
I'm going to zoom in a little on this. Is this, I guess, the message that was sent that was kept as part of your business records regarding setting up a time for this individual to bring in their Jeep?
Yes.
So on September 25th, they were advised they could drop the Jeep off at 9 to have work done?
Yes.
Okay. Was this a message that you sent out?
Yes.
And so when you're sending this in the morning at 7:27 a.m. and you're advising them that they can drop off the car and it will be worked on?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to put up, can you describe for us what we see here?
Looks like I'm cleaning some windows, just about ready to put some film on that door glass.
So this is you actually, you did the work on this Jeep Wrangler.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about, this is the vehicle that was associated with the 480-351-9120 number.
Yeah.
Now this is a two-door Jeep Wrangler.
Yes.
When you are looking at a vehicle like a Jeep Wrangler, do they come with factory tint on them.
Yes.
So when a vehicle has factory tint on it, what do you do when they're brought in to put tint on them?
All the time, people come in and ask to darken the factory tinted glass because the factory tinted glass is usually like a 20% VLT, and you just layer another dark layer on top of it.
Okay. So you don't have to try to take off that other tint. You're just putting another layer on top of it.
Yep.
So in this case, you said you were cleaning. We can see a spray bottle. You clean the glass before you put the next layer on.
Yep.
When you are talking about different percentages of tint, in this case, do you recall being asked to put a 5% tint on the rear windows?
Yes.
So if there's already tint on the car and then you add the 5%, does that make it even darker than what we would expect on a normal 5%?
Yeah. If you slide a VLT meter on there, like all officers have usually in their car, it will usually net like 2% or 0% VLT.
And so would that mean you can't see anything in the back?
Yeah, dark.
So if someone was laying or sitting in the back of this Jeep and you tried to walk by and look in there, you wouldn't be able to see it.
Objection. Speculation.
Overruled.
Having worked on these cars and seen what this looks like, are you familiar with whether or not you can see someone inside the vehicle with that dark of tint?
Yes, definitely.
So from your personal experience, you are telling us that with the 5% and then the additional factory tint, you would not be able to see into the back of that Jeep.
Broad daylight, you can't see in.
Now, the 20% that's in these front windows on top of the factory, would you still have some ability to see in?
Yes.
Okay. When you were talking to us earlier, you said that people are able to drop off their vehicles to be worked on.
Yes.
Do you recall in this case whether or not you saw the person who dropped this off?
I do not.
Okay. Now, we see that you have some cameras inside your shop for you to work on. Did you attempt to screenshot images to show the rear license plate of this vehicle?
Yes.
And I'm going to put some of these up, also part of packet 183. Do you recall the colors of the license plate on that Jeep?
They were white.
Okay. Did it have black lettering?
Yes.
Okay, so is that an Idaho plate?
No.
Okay. Did you know what state plate that was?
Texas. I would guess.
Texas?
Could I get you to speak up just a little bit? Thanks.
So it was a white plate with black lettering that you recognized to be from Texas,
Yes.
but you were unable to get the exact lettering of that plate from your surveillance system.
Correct. At the distance and angle, it was blurry.
Okay. One other question in this. On this Jeep, did you note there was like a sticker down here on the
Yes.
front windshield?
Yeah.
So that was there when the Jeep was brought in and dropped off to you?
Yes.
When you are completed with the job, do you send a sort of receipt of some type?
Yes.
And do we see that here as a part again of Exhibit 183?
Yes.
And did that describe the work you did?
Yes.
So we see again, this was sent to the 480-351-9120.
Yes.
So we know it was a Jeep Wrangler, what we saw in the photograph
Yes.
with the Texas license plate.
Yes.
And so it was 200, how much you charged?
Yes.
And then it says 5% rear and 20% front. What does that mean then?
That we put 5% window film on the back 3 windows and 20% on the front doors.
And then with our start and end time, does that mean that you completed this work in about an hour on September 25th of 2019?
Approximately.
Do you recall seeing the individual who had this Jeep ever pick it up?
I don't.
So did you have any contact with the owner that you recall at this point?
Not that I can recall.
So other than knowing that you were dealing with this Jeep that was documented, the 2-door Wrangler, associated to that 480-351-9120 number, you can't tell us anything else about the owner.
Correct.
State has no other questions, Your Honor.
Cross-examination?
No questions, Your Honor.
All right, are there any questions for this witness from the jury? I don't see any. All right, sir, you can step down.